Hey traders, this is Christian Fromhart, CEO of Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Wednesday. And a lot to talk about today. The major indices finished mixed for the day. SPYs were up 20 basis points. Qs, nice outperformance, up 1%. And small caps underperformed a little bit. They were down 35 basis points. So some mixed markets, maybe some reversions. If you remember from what was it, Monday? We were off Tuesday. So Monday was the half day. We saw some really nice outperformance by small caps and mid caps, which may have been a little bit of first of the month flows. So those reverted back a little bit. We had Fed minutes today that really didn't seem, nothing really that revealing, I would say, coming out of the Fed minutes. So sometimes you get a knee-jerk reaction, but things really didn't move too much on that. So I've got a chart. Let's kind of start with the worst of the day. XLE, so energy. Crude was down today. Where did crude finish today? And the reason why I start with this one first is because I think it's a really good example. Crude was down $2, down 4% today. So we saw all this call activity in energy names last week, and they're traps. Unless, well, let me just correct myself. If they're great for day trades, okay if you want to basically play for, maybe, a 1 or 2 day trade if you want to hold overnight. But, you could see, we did see some call activity in names like NFX. These names you have to be really careful. Names that are in downtrends usually stay in downtrends. Can they have oversold bounces? Sure, and that's what we saw in XLE and XOP last week, NFX. So you want to be basically tourists in these names that we see call activity in. You can hold for a day. You could day trade them, maybe hold 1 or 2 days overnight, but you can kind of see what happened here. This thing got squashed today, so you never want to be left kind of holding the bag with these counter trend trades that are oversold and everybody gets all excited about for 1 or 2 days, and then they go back to making 52-week lows. So just I think it's a real good example. That's why I'm bringing it up, because we see this a lot. Where people hold on to these trades for too long. And I always say, the trade has to fit your trading system. And I'm okay, personally trading some of these for day trades, maybe holding a small piece overnight, but you don't want to be caught what's it called? Watching the paint dry with some of these trades. So these names got beaten up really bad today. XOP was down 3.5% today. XLE down 2%. So that weighed on the S&P a little bit. So that was the bad. Also retail. Retail's, has these bounces, up to resistance. You can look at this and you can kind of say, well, we bounced up to what, basically the 50-day moving average and failed, after a decent move down. So, things are going to bounce from there from time and time, but you just have to be careful with holding some of these positions, more than a couple days, especially these groups that are out of favor and have been in downtrends. Okay, so the positive side today, and we saw some nice call activity today. Actually, some real nice put activity today too. A lot of chunky orders today and option activity. But best performer was biotech today, and that was the first thing that kind of got going today. This has been on my radar. I've been watching this group. We talked about this in last week's newsletter as possibly a flag pattern or a pennant pattern, and it looks like it's starting to resolve itself back up. So, great opportunity to get long biotech, on this little retracement period. So, nice move today, kind of confirming that that's what the pattern is. We also saw a lot of call buying today in XBI. There's two-way flow. First thing that we saw in the beginning of the day was actually puts. So, you always want to, make sure, because some people, they don't talk about all the flow that happened in the day. They just talk about the bullish flow. So there was definitely some bearish flow in the beginning of the day. There were some puts that went up, definitely not smaller or not as big as the call buyers that came in later in the day. There was one about 130, 148, and then also they doubled down, and you can see they actually purchased at a higher price, which is always a good sign. So biotech, this was the best performer of the day. That's why I'm looking at it. Good to see the semis bounce. The semis have gone from, and I put this chart out the other day, but you can See, basically from this high candle, there we go. Basically about a 10% correction from high to low. So it is down back down at the 100-day moving average. Slice through the 50-day moving average. Let me just get this chart back. So I would say all is not completely lost. Would love to see some more follow through yesterday, but we did start to see some call buying, which was nice. And you just have to be patient and not knife catch, and wait for some buyers to come in. So we saw some buyers in AMD, the usual kind. Usually when we see call buying in AMD, for the most part, it's weekly stuff. We did see a little bit of January calls go up in AMD as well. So Corvo, which I have a whole video, a trade idea video on what we did in Corvo today. Nice bounce on the 200-day moving average. So I'm not going to spend that much time on this one, but I would say it was either top trade or top one of two trades of the day. Teradyne is another name that got an upgrade this morning by Stiefel. So another name that's kind of gotten beaten up pretty decently from the highs, from $35 all the way down to $30. Nice bounce today, up $1 on the upgrade, plus a nice call buyer today that came in the afternoon. So nice. Sometimes you see the call buyers come in right after an upgrade. They still could be feeding off that research note, but this came in later in the day. Nice January call. So Teradyne is another one, robotics slash semiconductor name that we saw some call buying in. So I think that's a good sign that we're starting to see some buyers come back into that space. A couple other trades that came out were, JD came out, not came out, but a couple call buyers in this one. This is another name, Chinese internet name that has fallen down quite a bit. So this kind of has me excited to see some call buyers kind of come in a little bit after names have gone down, right? So part of this game is buying, not buying on the highs all the time, but buying after a little bit of a dip and seeing some price confirmation, right? So I think JD.com looks pretty interesting here. If I go to my Thinkorswim chart, nice nice support here right at 38.72. And almost an engulfing, almost a bearish engulfing. So we're going to need, for most of these names that I talked about, we're going to need some follow through and not just one day of price action. But again, I think pretty good stuff in terms of the option bullish activity. There was also, before I kind of go through all these names, TRN was another name that caught my eye. This is a name that same strike that we saw today, we saw last week. So Trinity, I can't take every trade. I did take the Teradyne. I took the Corvo today. Sonic was another name that I think looks pretty good technically, because you do see that it's got support of the 200-day moving average. So they came in twice today for some December calls in Sonic. So I thought that was pretty nice. And then the other one that I'll end with on the call side is TRN, which saw some repeat activity today. Again, same strike that we saw last week. But then take a look on the put side. A lot of put orders, chunky put orders. NCR, big put buyer there. HBI, Haynes, they came in a couple times there. Caterpillar, also a big call buyer there. Teva in the morning. And Macy's too. So a bit more large put orders than normal. And these were the ETF orders, which we already talked about, XBI. So that's it. In terms of bonds and golds, they both ended up slightly on the day. TLT was basically just up 2 basis points. Gold was up a little bit more. But, the main story, I think, really is, it continues to be single stock picking in terms of where the alpha is. And another area that I put out a note this morning was on the agriculture names. Wheat continued higher. It actually started lower on the day, finished higher. So these agriculture names still look pretty positive. I started a position in CF as well. CF Industries. It looks like it just got back below closed right at the 200-day moving average in CF Industries. So I started a cash position last week. Actually, on Monday, I started a cash position, and I bought a little bit of call options today in this name. we'll see how it does around that 200-day moving average. So that's it for today's video. The last thing that I'll leave with is, this is not easy. So if someone is telling you or, giving you short-term profits, which I know a lot of people like to do on Twitter. They like to talk about, hey, I did this today, or I did this week. Talk about, when you see that, ask them what they are, year to date or for the last year. Because we've gone through months. I've gone through months where I've had great performance, and then the last couple of weeks was pretty shitty for me. Still up nicely for the year, but this kind of just shows you big hedge fund, big macro hedge fund suffers worst first half loss. So just kind of puts these things in perspective, and you always want to stay grounded. And even when you have a good week, don't get overconfident. So just quick point there at the end of this, at the end of today's call. So thanks very much for watching. If you didn't get to see my Corvo trade idea of the day, you could check my YouTube page out. It's out there. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys back bright and early Thursday morning. Thanks.